Cool. Hello again, everyone. Just making sure we are live on all the platforms right now. It's looking good. Welcome back to the Daily Printulian Show. If you've seen the title of this video today, we're going to be talking all about booklets and setting up your booklets for print. This is a question we get quite a lot because obviously with a multiple page document, you don't necessarily want to be using design software like Illustrator, even though you could. There are better softwares to set this up and to also still make sure that everything's print ready. If you're working with multiple page documents, it's very easy to have fonts that are dropping and images that are dropping, and these are typically much more expensive orders, so you obviously want to make sure that everything goes perfectly. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys today and show you just in InDesign how to very quickly set up a booklet for print. We're not going to be doing any fancy design work today. Obviously not. I think I'd be here for a long time if I had to design a booklet live. But I'm just going to show you the basics of setting it up and exporting it correctly so that everything is print ready, because InDesign does work differently from Illustrator. Now, I've done one of these quick tutorials with Illustrator for a business card. Those rules you can apply with anything you design in Illustrator, but InDesign does have separate things and things that you need to watch out for, especially if you're designing a multiple page document. So I have a sample here. This is typically what we're going to be talking about today, a booklet like this. Right? Very pretty, very cool. Awesome. So before I share my screen, I just want to make sure that we're on the same page, pun intended. If you're designing a booklet, you always have to keep in mind the page count on the website includes the cover pages. So we have 4 cover pages. People often get confused by that. You have the outer front cover page, and that also then includes the inner front cover page. And the same goes for the back cover page and the back, inner cover page. There we go. And then these are obviously then your inner pages. So that's what we mean with the 4 cover pages. A lot of people tend to leave these blank, but you can put design on that. You can put your publisher, whatever on that. It depends. It's really up to you. But yeah, so we're not going to be focusing too much on the design aspect. I just want to show you guys how to export and set up correctly in InDesign. So let me share my screen. Great. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let me just maybe open a new tab so that this is not as confusing. There we go. Cool. Okay, so we've got Illustrator open here at the bottom. The first thing you're going to want to do is start a new document. And you want to make sure that your intent is for print. I tend to leave facing pages on. It's just a better setting. And here, what I was talking about earlier is the number of pages. So we only do multiples of 4. If you've ever designed a booklet, you will know that. So that's quite important. It's to do with how the pages are bound together. So always make sure that your page numbers, including the cover pages, is a multiple of 4. So 4 by 4 is 16. So 16 is fine, 8 is fine, 4 is fine. You get the idea. You can set your starting number, what size. You can obviously also do it custom, but today we're just going to be doing a normal A4 booklet. And what's great about Illustrator is it gives you the options. If you're doing, for example, a magazine or something similar to that, you'll notice that a lot of people design text in columns and stuff. InDesign gives you the option to kind of set that up here. So you can decide if you want 3 columns, it's up to you. The gutter is something that a lot of people don't know what that is. You'll see if you hover over it, it does kind of give you a little bit of a hint there. But the gutter basically is the space between pages. So when the book is bound, hold on, I actually think, let me quickly remove my screen share so that I can show you guys, because this is difficult to explain if you don't actually have an example. So this space here, the black space here in the middle, that is the gutter. So that makes sure that when it's actually bound, you don't want any important text or anything close to the middle here, because if it gets bound, sometimes you'll lose some of that information. I don't know if that's clear to see. So you always want to make sure that there's a margin here that you don't put any important information on, and that's the gutter. That's in the middle there. So, okay, let me go back to InDesign. Cool. Okay. Whoop. There we go. That's a bit easier to see. Okay, so the gutter, my recommendation, go for 5 mil. I wouldn't go any smaller than that. These specs are entirely up to you, but I would just recommend to not go smaller than that because you don't want to lose important information in that gutter. Then margins, again, completely up to you. These are the outer margins of the pages. And of course, always, always, always have a bleed of 3 mil. If you have this link icon here, it'll automatically update all of these. Cool, so we can actually select preview. Might be a bit easier. All right, cool. So there you go, there's your document set up with all of your pages. So this would be your front cover page that I talked about just now, your inner cover page, inner pages, and then your inner back cover page and your outer back cover page. Hope I said that correctly. It gets confusing, but it's pretty easy in InDesign to kind of keep track of that, to keep track of the pages here. You have the pages panel on the side. If you want to customize your workspace, you can do that. I always just use essentials, but you can change it around and see what you want to have open. But we're not going to get too much into that today. As I said, we're not going to focus on the design aspect today. Just want to show you guys a couple of basics. I'm just gonna fill this with placeholder text for now. So that's your standard lorem ipsum there. I'm not going to do any actual design work or writing today. So just bear with me while I fill that out. And this is also a great tip, by the way, if you want to just see what the text would look like. And obviously you do have your little character box here where you can change the font, you can change the size. Again, with something like this, never go smaller than 8 points font size. You see that gets quite small. I have to zoom in quite a bit to actually be able to see that. So we're just going to stick with 12 for today. Cool. 12 is quite big, but it doesn't matter. We're not going to focus on that today. All right, so then let's quickly place an image and just see what that looks like. Cool. Just going to zoom out a bit so it's a bit easier to see what I'm doing. Okay, so don't mind me. We're not trying to make this pretty. I just want to show you guys the quick basics. Let's say, hello there. We're going to make that a little bigger. And then we should have a paragraph option here. Yes, that's where you set your alignment. You can set indents. So InDesign is really geared specifically for documents that deal with large bodies of text, and that's typically set up for multiple page documents. And that is what makes InDesign a fantastic tool. Illustrator can do, I mean, you can customize it, but it doesn't give you these tools to do it quickly. So honestly, if you're working with multiple page documents and large volumes of text, definitely use InDesign. I do know of designers that also prefer to use InDesign for their other designs. I don't do that. I prefer to use Illustrator for print designs, Photoshop for digital designs, and so on and so forth. Each tool has kind of the best use for it, if that makes sense. So, okay, really not pretty, but it gives you an idea there of, yeah. Okay, so there you can basically set up all of your pages. This would obviously be your cover page, so you wouldn't typically have this much text and stuff on your cover page, but not to worry. Just want to show you guys a quick tip. If you go to view and overprint view, it shows you, just want to take the margins away, what it would look like if it's printed. So the shortcut I use there to take the margins away is Command or Control if you're using PC. If you're on a Mac like me, Command and the semicolon. There we go. So that gives you a good idea of what it'll look like once printed, and you can always change the view again and put off overprint view if you want to keep editing. All right, cool. So we're not going to get too finicky with that. What is important that I want to show you guys today is the Adobe PDF presets. Now, with Illustrator, it's super quick to just embed your fonts, embed your images. However, with InDesign, my base recommendation and the quickest way to make sure that what you're exporting is print ready and according to print standards is to make sure that your document is set up as a PDF X-1A 2001. Obviously not the Japan version, just go for the standard one. So that's typically what we want to use there. So my settings should already apply, but let's just see if I export this as, let's say, test, Adobe PDF for print, save. Yes, here we go. Okay, so you'll see here already my settings are on PDF X-1A. You can change it here. Please make sure it's the 2001. So this basically is a PDF version that encompasses all of the rules that we have for print ready design. So it makes sure that your design is already print ready. You have the standard things here that you can change. You can export separate pages, certain page ranges, or all, which is what we're going to do today. If you want to export the full document. My crop marks and bleed marks are always on for this. That's perfectly fine. You can leave bleed marks off. It's not totally necessary. But what you do have to have is crop marks. That's typically print ready. And you'll see the bleed is 3 more, which is what we set up here in the beginning. If you forgot to set that up, always not ideal in the beginning, you can edit that here. But we're going to use the document bleed settings that we set up in the beginning. And yeah, here in the summary, you should be able to see if there are any warnings. This has obviously not picked up any warnings. The file is perfectly fine. And you can go ahead and export that. I do also, by the way, always recommend that you keep an open InDesign document available as well. This makes it a lot quicker to go back and edit something if you've encountered an issue in the text. If you're reading through the PDF, it's better to always just keep an open document as well. So let's just go ahead and see. Here's the PDF that we saved. And you'll see it's exported with the crop marks. And yeah, that is basically, obviously, the rest of the pages are blank. But that is basically it. I'm not going to cover too much more. That's otherwise we're going into design territory, and I'm going to be taking way too long in this video. So yes, that is it. If you guys have any questions, if I rushed through anything, if you have specifically InDesign related questions that I didn't cover today, feel free to ask them in the comments down below. I can check those, and I can maybe make an extra video expanding on some of the more designy elements, some of the cool tools that InDesign has. If you'd like to see more about Photoshop or Illustrator from me, let me know. But that's basically how to set up a quick file in InDesign and export it correctly as a print-ready PDF using Adobe InDesign. Obviously, when it comes to large documents like this, I always recommend using the professional design software. I would not send this in a Word document. I think it's just a recipe for disaster. There's too much room for text to drop, which is not a good idea. So this is definitely worth investing in if you're going to be doing this professionally, or if you're going to be working with a lot of multiple page documents. Definitely get yourself InDesign. It is great. It's an amazing tool. And once you get used to it and you get the hang of it, it is just so easy to use and very user-friendly. It tends to be a lot of designers' favorite because it is so user-friendly. So yes, that's it for me today. Let me just think if there's anything else I wanted to mention. I'm going to be doing another video tomorrow with Marisha. We're going to be going into the materials a bit more that you want to use. We'll also be talking about booklets, what type of paper you should be using for your inner pages, for your cover pages, as well as the more large format products that we do offer, which materials are good there, what you should stay away from. So yeah, look forward to that, and I will see you guys tomorrow in another live video. Thanks for joining me today.